I'm on a mission to try out every single orc culture, and the one I'm working on today are the Bad Moons. Now, the Bad Moon has a lot of significance in Age of Sigmar with the Gloomspite Gits, but in Warhammer 40,000, the Orc Bad Moons, they are the wealthy orcs, the rich orcs, and the color yellow represents the gold that they absolutely admire. The Bad Moons are the richest orcs not because they have the best loot, that would probably be the Death Skulls, but because they have the most teeth. Orc currency is based on their teeth, and all orcs have access to this currency because their teeth fall out periodically, kind of like sharks. But for the Bad Moons orcs, they fall out much more regularly and in much higher quantities. Now, this doesn't mean that Bad Moons are just predestined to be rich, because they have to be tough enough so that other orcs don't knock out all their teeth and steal them. The Bad Moons love to be seen, they love to show off, and they're probably one of the more popular factions of orcs to paint because yellow and green works really good together. Grabbing my sprue of new old orcs, I went hunting for an orc boy who felt a little extra rich. This set was Games Workshop's first new try at replacing the old 1999 Orc Boy kit, but it's looking like it's going to be superseded by the new orcs coming out in 11th edition. I found this Shooter orc that has plenty of lovely armor to paint yellow. I cleaned him up and got him ready to push fit together. To drill out the gun barrel, I used the point of my hobby knife to make a little dent, giving it a spin with the point of my blade to make a dent that the drill bit can sit in and help me stay on target. With my gun drilled out, I finished assembling my orc and I went back to the ancient orc bit to find some extra gubbins to stick onto my guy. I gave him an extra shoulder pad and I clipped off a choppa, but I can't stick it on yet because I noticed he's got a massive seam on his backside. I used some Tamiya basic putty to fill in his crack. The Tamiya putty can be thin with plastic glue, and I smeared it over and then used the brush applicator to smooth it out to get his rump nice and seamless. Now I can attach the choppa. In previous editions, this was an option. Orcs with Shudas or orcs with Slugga Choppa. Now orcs are always assumed to have both options, so really I like to load up my orcs with a lot of gear. With my boy built, I started putting together his base. I slid a magnet into a Cobalt Keep 32mm magnet base, and then I flipped it over and started adding on some height. I glued down some thick 1/2 inch cork, and then I started tearing it up with my fingers to make the edges nice and natural. Also, this cork is available on EonsOfBattle.com. Over there, we're restocked on all our excellent hobby goodies. Gamer Grass Tufts, Grey Tide Studio Bits to spice up your Space Marines, Army Painter paints, brushes, basin cork, ultra thin and ultra thick super glue, and we've got terrain. It's the best way to support us doing what we do by getting a membership. Each month, members get a credit good for any one terrain pack I've ever made or the brand new one. New in May, we have created the Cyber City, a set of terrain perfect for any fast-paced war game. These beautiful gleaming buildings are the picture of future affluence, ready to be fought over and on top of. These pieces were designed to give plenty of line of sight blocking terrain with lots of room on top for miniatures to stand on. And with a stacking system, you can build your boards up into the air with a lot of catwalks and staircases to let you battle in the third dimension. To sprinkle around the city, there are some sci-fi accessories like the line of sight blocking hologram projectors, rooftop doors, computer terminals, crates, and snack machines. Everything a future battlefield needs. This terrain set was designed by us and is available at EonsOfBattle.com. I used a small saw to carve the cork on an angle so that my orc has a nice ledge to be leaping off of. I held up my boy so I could see where he'll stand, and then I ripped up more cork where I know his feet won't be. Once I was happy with the shape, I covered the whole thing in wood filler putty. Then I started wiping away a lot of it. I used my fingers to remove 90% and then a wet paper towel to wipe away even more, only leaving it in the recesses. This will fill in all the little cracks and make the wood look like a nice natural windswept rock. After that, I drilled a 1mm hole into my orc's feet and I inserted a piece of brass rod so I can stab my orc down onto the base so he's permanently attached. I put a little extra super glue under his foot for good measure, and then my little orc is ready for action. Any orc can be a Bad Moon, it kind of just depends on if you paint them yellow or not, but I would say it's kind of tricky to find a unit that really exemplifies the Bad Moons. A little bit Flash Kits, although Flash Kits are a little bit, they fit the profile of the Bad Moons, in that like they want to be selling stuff and buying stuff and displaying their loot, but they're a little bit more free Buddha than strictly Bad Moon. I think the best Bad Moons orc unit would be the Mega Knob. Mega Knobs have the biggest, chunkiest, most expensive armor that orcs can have, and it is very tough. It's a classic Terminator profile, 2-up save, 3 wounds, but with toughness 6, which is a little bit spicy. And unfortunately, like a lot of orc units, they have a special ability that only triggers on the Wog turn. Which is, if they change anything with orcs in 11th edition, I really hope it's kind of softening the Wog a little bit, because having an ability that only triggers on the Wog turn kind of means that if you miss it, you just don't have a special ability, which is a little bit of a bummer for a lot of orc units right now. As much as I'm downplaying the ability, it's still a really good ability. It's a 5-up feel no pain during the Wog turn. A 5-up feel no pain on something as hard to injure as an orc Mega Knob is pretty darn good. If an orc wants to display their affluence, wearing some armor that is almost indestructible is a good way of doing that. And yellow just looks really good. In preparation to give my orc a nice golden complexion, I started off priming him in white. I think to really get him glowing like I want, I'll paint everything but the yellow first, starting with some Grim Black speed paint over his boots and belts. I thin this about 3 drops paint to 1 drop thinner, and then I put this on working quickly to give it time to sit on the model and flow into all the cracks. I also painted this on some of his spiky armor. After that, I took Noble Skin, which is a black with a little bit of brown in it, and I put this on over his weapons, his choppa, and some parts of his shuta. Some of it I do still want to be yellow. Now his bits are done, it's time for the skin, and step 1 for my orc skin is Familiar Pink. This is a ultra saturated pink color that looks really good underneath greens. I put this on over all of the skin using a clean wet brush to wick it off the high spots so it's most vibrant in the recesses. Now for the green, and I want this orc a little darker, so I'm thinking Forest Spirit. This is a grungier green color. I put this right over the pink, and where the pink was strong, it turned into a yucky reddish color that looks really good for ugly orc skin. Once that was dry, I glazed a little bit more Familiar Pink over the bottom of his muscles to make them even more red. I'm liking how the skin is turning out, but it could use a little highlighting. I took Rainforest Green and I thinned this way down with water into a glaze, and I started layering this on over the high spots in his muscles and skin. After a few layers, I had these spots looking smooth and bright. To clean up his face, I used a little bit of bony spikes to paint his teeth. These are his moneymakers. Then for his eyes, I dotted them with blood chalice, giving him a nice angry red eyes. With everything but the armor painted, he's really looking unique. An interesting little discovery I've made while painting this guy is orcs kinda look good in white armor. I've left all the stuff I intend to be yellow, just the bare white primer paint, and it's a kinda good look. It's very Stormtrooper. If I was gonna continue this guy as a white armored orc, I'd add a little bit of battle damage, but mostly I would keep it all the same. You never see orcs in white armor, but it is time to get rid of this guy's white armor and turn him into a proper Bad Moon. For the yellow, I grabbed some maize yellow and thinned this down about 50-50 with speed paint medium. Then I quickly got this down on all the still white parts of the mini, transforming from white to golden so fast. Yellow paint tends to have terrible coverage, but I can skip that step completely trying to paint it yellow by cheating and using speed paint over the white. Then for some sauce of my own making, I took the maize yellow on my palette and I mixed it with the Familiar Pink. These two vibrant colors mixed together into an incredibly saturated orange. I used this to glaze on some bright orange shadows, using it in the recesses and the lower facing parts of the yellow armor. This was super fun, doing many layers of glazing to darken and saturate the yellow. You would never know this color is in 2 places on the model. It just transforms the colors it touches into something new. Now to bring out some of the details in the yellow and add some more. I took white paint and edge highlighted and painted on some micro scratches. Using a sharp tip paintbrush, and I dragged it over the flat sections, leaving me with some nice crispy highlights. Since yellow is so bright already, jumping straight to pure white works great. Now that the armor is done, I took some 2 thin coats Mithril Blade, a bright shiny silver color, and I dry brushed this over the gunmetal parts, giving them a little bit of shine. Then I had a thought. Bad Moon orcs love gold teeth. It's the ultimate symbol of wealth. I took some glistening gold paint and I picked out a couple of his chompers in gold. Now that's a Bad Moon. He's all done, time for the base. I took Tundra Taupe and Noble Skin and I mixed these together. The Tundra is a yucky green-brown color and the speed paint will thin this down, making it just a little transparent so some of that white primer shows through. Once that was dry, I took Dusty Skull, a very warm gray, and I dry brushed this over the base, hitting on all the lovely texture the cork gave me. I hit the rim of the base in black and he's all done. Now that is an orc, and that is a yellow orc courtesy of Familiar Pink. I use this color in the weirdest places, and I always have the best results with it. I really like it. And man, does it look spicy on this orc. If I had to paint up a kill team for orcs, I think I would definitely want to do it in Bad Moons. The yellow is so much fun to paint, and it looks so good on the minis. This is a spicy, vibrant orc, and it would look really good on some Mega Knobs. I paint my orcs as Mad Max orcs, but I am definitely tempted by the audacity of the Bad Moons. These guys are excellent. Only a couple more orc clans to go, but I had a lot of fun painting up this little Bad Moon. Thanks for watching.